There was a certain bill that was a nominee on Angry Runs this week, the ultra-popular segment hosted by one Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football. It was Captain Cantaloupe. Take it away, Kyle.
Take a look at Big Josh. Back in the day, we gave out this big honking bowling trophy. He won it in 2018 as a fresh-faced young man. And this dude had the audacity to put a couple of melons, very subtle, in his picture with the scepter. And he's back. Josh Allen lives in this segment. Come join us. This is Josh's house. And look at this maniac. Of course, on Halloween, he's been eating Fun Dip and is all out of control and will run through anybody, including 300-pounders. Let me take a look. Christian Wilkins goes about 6'4". Oh, no, he goes down. Loop this thing for me. Loop it for the next 3 hours. Josh Allen, you absolute maniac. That is a huge defensive tackle that he runs right the hell through. As you know, Josh Allen is now a pistachio farmer, and he's grown a big old pair of walnuts on this play. I love it, Josh. I absolutely love it. If you send a picture, you know damn well what we wanted. We don't want the melons. We've moved on to nuts.
We've moved down to nuts. We may have gone nuts. Kyle Brandt, thank you and welcome. And first, I want to commend you on working Fun Dip into the Angry Run segment. I appreciate that to a degree you do not understand. Because, you know, really, in the grand scheme of things, Kyle, it's a maturation, a rite of passage as a child. You know, you have the little pixie sticks when you're a little kid. Mm-hmm. When you want the hard stuff, you graduate to Fun Dip. I mean, that's just the way it is. Because not only can you have all the stuff in the pouch, you can eat the dang stick that you're dipping in the dip.
It's incredible. The pixie sticks are a gateway candy, as they say, to Fun Dip, which is pretty much like your Rambo-esque bullet straps of sugar. And you nailed it, Brownie. It isn't enough just to give you packets of sugar to eat. Right. The actual vessel you eat them with is made of sugar. Then you just eat that. The only thing you're missing is the bag was made of sugar. But I think that's what Josh was eating on Halloween, and God bless him. It's great to see you guys. It's great to see Tasker there. I know that the Bills have the month off. I just figured you did too.
Yeah, I actually did. I'm in here just because of you. I showed up for this segment. I'm leaving again. But
from the final frontier.
Right, for the so you've been keeping track of this. The Bills show up in Miami, and right now, Bills Mafia, the whole fan base is like, we're going to beat them. You know, Bills by a billion, Bills by a billion, Bills by a billion. You know, Dolphins came out and punched the Bills in the mouth in that for 3-3, and it was a snooze fest. It was like, oh gosh, give me something better than this. Then the Bills actually came out and turned into who we thought they were, scored 23 points in the second half. What about this trade deadline? If you're going to pick something to happen for this team in a trade, do you have any ideas?
Well, my resident insider, Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football, he said that the Buffalo Bills were one of the teams calling about Von Miller. Yeah. Which I thought was very interesting, and that the Cowboys called and that everybody called. And I like that the Bills called. I like that this time there's some focus on, well, the teams that aren't doing so well unloading picks or anything, or the teams that are average making a jump with a new player. I don't care about those teams. I want the front runners to make moves. I love when the teams that are already wealthy, like the Rams, decide, screw it, I'm going to invest again because I want a second helipad on top of my yacht. Like, that's what they just did. So, Buffalo, look, I don't know, what are we at, 2:07 right now? What time is this thing? It's at 4 o'clock, right?
4 o'clock.
Yeah, it's coming fast.
Yeah, so, look, I got to tell you, it blew my hair back that they were calling about Von Miller because it means they're active and they're interested and they're thinking about defense. So,
I agree.
I don't know if it's going to happen at this point, and, it begs the question, if it hits 4 and the clock strikes 4 o'clock, is this a Super Bowl roster? A Super Bowl winning roster, especially with what we're seeing from the Rams and what we're seeing, obviously, in Tampa. I guess I would like a few more pieces, but Steve, I don't see like a glaring need. I really don't. I feel okay.
I'm kind of with you. I envision this as it's like a horse race, and the Bills have got, they're riding Secretariat right now. Mm-hmm. And all they really need is for the guy riding the horse to get his whip out and start whacking him.
Yeah,
let's go. You know what I mean? I mean, that's where it is. You got the horse, I believe. And I thought they had it last year. And they just got to play well on the day they play those games. I think we saw a little bit of this last week. They were way better than the Dolphins. They didn't show it. They only showed it for a half. But it was plenty to beat them by 15 points. So I think that's the horse they're riding. And I think, trade or not, the Bills are a problem for these other teams.
They're a big problem, especially since, let's be honest, one of the most dangerous, biggest, fastest, strongest horses in the field that ran right over the Buffalo Bills is now injured in Tennessee, and Derrick Henry's out. And then the other horse that's got the red and gold uniform on that's beaten the Chiefs in the past, the jockey's sitting on the horse the wrong way, and it's going back across the track the wrong way. The Chiefs horse is completely out of control, and they're almost out of the conversation. So we're setting up really, really nicely as we hit the home stretch. But I have to say, I've been calling this bye month for the Bills because the bye, you got Miami, you got the Jags, and now you got the Jets. Is there any – never mind Jacksonville. I'm not even going to acknowledge that game, and I really don't care. The Jets are now all of a sudden this weird giant killer that has beaten the Titans team that beat the Bills and has now beaten the Bengals. So, like, is there suddenly, like, some kind of thing going on like gangrene on November 14th? Because that's a crazy thing to think.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with the Jets because sometimes they just play a nip-and-tuck game with the Bills, even though they're vastly superior. And we saw it last year. Tyler Bass had to kick 6 field goals for them to win 18-10 last year in the one of the meetings between the two teams. So, yeah, weirder things have happened. And if Mike White is like, you know, the second coming of Wally Pipp, okay. I mean, Robert Saleh certainly didn't do anything to calm those, the New York media hacks that are, you know, ready to pump tabloid headlines up on the back pages down there. I thought that was a very cryptic way to kind of handle Zach Wilson as your franchise quarterback, saying we'll have to wait and see. What? What was
Isn't that weird? There's buzz. Like, it is a real thing. It's, you know, you guys have seen this. The list of quarterbacks in NFL history to throw for 400 yards in their NFL debut is Cam Newton and Mike White, and that's it. No one's ever done it. It's two people in history. That's it.
Yeah.
And the last person to throw for 400 for the Jets was Testaverde.
Yeah, I saw that.
There is a buzz. I mean, listen, the New York Post is already doing a story on Mike White's wife and reporting on what restaurant that they went to.
Ooh,
like,
page 6.
It is a real thing. I've heard that's a real thing.
Wow. Yeah,
so
they
play Thursday night, as we know, and it could all come crashing down, and this kid could it could be this fun little 5-day period in Jets history where Mike White was a thing. If he wins that game Thursday night and throws 3 touchdown passes, I'm telling you, he's going to be like Frank Sinatra in this town. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's right. And well, he should. Why not? I mean,
it's fun.
He'll be pumped up so big they could put him in the Thanksgiving Day parade as one of the balloons. I mean, I'll tell you, man, New York will pump you up and drag you down faster than real fast.
Yeah, you mentioned the Chiefs, and it's going to be a while before the Chiefs go off everybody's radar because we watched them for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Just score whenever they wanted to. And you still kind of feel like, if they turn it on, they're going to do that again. You know, it's just got this thing. We're not ready to put them to bed yet because they've shown so much. But you're right. They are the rocket that has got no rudder. I mean, they're going everywhere. And it is really weird to watch. Now, they beat the Giants last night, but it wasn't, you know, it was the Giants, and it still wasn't pretty.
And their schedule's ugly, Kyle.
Steve, if you watch Patrick Mahomes' post-game press conference, and you didn't see the game, you just put on the post game, you would say, well, the Chiefs lost by 10 points. He just is sitting there with all the body language and all the tone in his voice of, you know, we're just going to have to keep working and getting better, and we know we're going to get on the same page. And a game they just won on Monday Night Football. It was like as if they had lost, and in a lot of ways, it felt like they did. I'm looking around this AFC, and there's some really good teams. And I can't wait for the Chiefs anymore. I'm blowing on the Nintendo game for 2 months now, and the thing still won't play. The fact that you scored 20 points against the New York Giants and you got Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey Hill, there's just too many other good teams. The Titans, even without Derrick Henry, the Ravens. And we're looking at the AFC playoff picture right now on the show. I have to tell you, Baltimore and Buffalo have something in common. Both of them suffered really bad losses before their bye, which is a scary thing to do in the whole power ranking type universe we live in, because then people forget about you for a couple weeks. The Ravens got their clocks cleaned by Cincinnati and then went away. And now they seem to be off some kind of radar in the AFC where everybody's, I don't know, just talking about different teams. I still think that they are the most dangerous team to Buffalo right now. I do. And it's not Tennessee anymore. It's not Indianapolis. I don't think it's the Raiders. I think it's the same team that Buffalo hosted last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, and while Steve might not be ready to kick dirt on the Chiefs, I am, because their schedule's brutal. I mean, they have Green Bay. They have Green Bay this week. They got to play the Raiders twice. They got Dallas. Then they have Denver, which is always tough on defense anyway. And they got the Chargers in their division, followed by Pittsburgh and Cincy. Like, have fun with that. Like, they're so wayward a franchise right now on the football field. They're not navigating that schedule to a playoff berth. They're done.
No, Brownie, and they say, good teams just stack wins. Not about style points. It's not about just stacking wins. They don't stack wins. Look at the schedule. They win, they lose. They win, they lose. And their wins are just against this terrible roundup of Giants and the Washington and Eagles, the NFC East. Then they show up and play any team that matters. They play Buffalo. They play Tennessee. They lose. Like, I don't know. I'm not good with lines and, betting lines and whatnot. What is the early line with them against Green Bay? Because, I would never take that. I think Green Bay is way better than them right now. Kansas City, if I were to power rank, are I don't know, the 18th best team in the league maybe? It's just not there. And we're in week 9 now. It's not early.
What do we think about 36-year-old Adrian Peterson to Tennessee? It's almost like Tennessee said, do we have anybody out there that represents maybe even just the physical stature of Derrick Henry? Right. Well, there's 36-year-old Adrian Peterson. Get him in here. I don't care if he's 86. Bring him in. But realistically, though, Kyle, I mean, you were a running back, but, 36-year-old, I know he's a freak, but 36? I don't know.
I have wild takes about this. First of all, I love that they went and found Adrian Peterson. It reminds me of I guess it was 20 years ago when the gun for hire was Jeff George, and he'd just be sitting somewhere at home and he'd have some video of him throwing in his backyard. But if your quarterback gets hurt or, something happens, just call Jeff George. He's the gun for hire. Adrian Peterson is now the run for hire. This guy has been on the Saints, the Cardinals, Washington, the Lions, and now he's the Tennessee Titan. And here's my crazy take. I think he's going to be active on Sunday night, and I don't mean like he's going to be a part of the active roster. I think he's going to be active in the game plan. I think they're going to give him the ball. It's not going to be an insignificant amount of carries, and it's my upset special for the week. I think the Titans are going to win at the Rams because of the reasons that I laid out when the Raiders let go of John Gruden when he resigned and all that disaster. I knew they were going to win that game. There's something that happens to players in the locker room, Steve, when everybody counts you out. And the Raiders, there was a disaster that week, and Gruden left. Sure enough, they won the next week. There is nobody right now in the world who says the Titans have anything going for them, and the franchise is over. They might as well contract it, and the season's over. I think they will rise up and win on Sunday night based purely on that. And I actually think Adrian Peterson is going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's something that happens to a locker room that elevates it. And I think this is the exact moment for the Tennessee Titans to make that happen. I agree with you completely. Also, something else with the AFC East, the Patriots are hosting or go out to L.A. to play a really good Chargers team, and they get it done. What happened to the Chargers?
I know.
In this game? I'm really surprised that they're not more consistently dominant.
I know.
They can't stop anybody.
I would say that the Chargers were first team all September. And we talked about it. You guys talked about it. Staley looks like this fresh, young, smart face at head coach that everyone's looking for. Herbert looks like he's being talked about like he's Joe Montana. And then, stuff happens. And you get your absolute tails kicked in by Baltimore, and you go away for a while. And then, okay, that's the bounce back games. Bill Belichick against, Justin Herbert. He'll tune him up. And sure enough, he did. This is first team all September. And this is why we actually get ahead of ourselves sometimes in talking about this league. The Chargers, we got all these great defensive players. We've got Derwin James and Bosa and all that. It's not working right now. And Herbert threw a huge pick six at the end of that game. He's supposed to be this prince who was promised in AFC, the next Josh Allen, if you will. It's rough going right now. And I think teams are lining up to play the Chargers. I think they lost their whole scare factor.
Yeah, you can really move the ball on them. They got to outscore you to win. They got to outscore you to win. That's the only way they're winning. My question to you, Kyle, Bills right now are killing it in the takeaway department. We talk about Josh and the offense, and I get it, but this defense has been downright nuts and tied for the league lead with 18 takeaways. They are a stupid plus 13 in the turnover margin. The next closest team is a plus 8. The question is it sustainable? You have a friendly schedule here where you say, all right, you're going against, a rookie quarterback in Lawrence this week, Mike White, Zach Wilson. Those guys can be duped with coverages from Poyer and Hyde. Carson Wentz is always good for a dumb throw. So, sure. You're almost thinking like, and then Trevor Siemian potentially against the Saints on Thanksgiving. So it's like, this could continue.
It could continue. And I like that you talk about this stuff, Brownie, because I think, I don't know, just across the country, I don't think people really know much about the Bills D at all. I still don't. I still think that when the Bills highlight comes on SportsCenter or Good Morning Football or whatever it is, it's a lot of Josh and it's Diggs when he scores and it's that type of stuff, and then it's over. But like, you just don't see those guys on defense. You don't hear that stat that they're leading the league and the takeaways, and they have that differential. And so I don't know if you're going to get it until Thanksgiving, especially not this week. I mean, I hate to break it to the Mafia and you guys, like, no one is really going to be watching Bills versus Jaguars this weekend nationally. It's not going to happen. It's like you're going to look at the score. Oh, the Bills won. Here's my fantasy team. It's just not going to be a game that people watch. Yeah. Probably not the week after that. I don't even know if they're going to watch the Colts game because we'll find out what happens with Wentz over the next few weeks if he gets back on his feet. That Thanksgiving game is really, really, really big because we've seen it before with the Bills. And I remember Josh Allen with the turkey leg and picking up the ball and the quarterback sneak. And, like, that was a coming out party of sorts. But I'm looking at that New Orleans Saints game, whoever their quarterback is. It could be Taysom Hill. It could be somebody crazy they sign off the street. That's a huge thing. And, frankly, Josh has had his moment, and he's on the Manning cast, and he's beautiful, and Peyton's son is wearing his jersey, and God bless him, and God bless Diggs and everything. I hope that is a day for the Bills' defense, because I still think that all 11 of those guys could walk through any town USA and would not be stopped on the street. They don't have that sort of first-name thing. Trey White, Poyer, maybe, but they don't have those guys yet, and I think they deserve it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it comes from the fact the Bills play like 23 guys on defense. It's hard to be a star on this defense, particularly in the front seven, because they rotate everybody through. Everybody stays fresh. The defensive backs, Poyer and Hyde, they're spreading the turnovers out over everybody. Everybody's, not one guy with.
They got 7 guys with interceptions.
Like Trey Diggs down in Dallas has got 90,000 interceptions. He kind of stands out. Nobody else. It's hard to stand out in this defense because it is kind of a group effort, and it's really interesting to watch. I'm with you, though. This team, we used to have a thing when I worked for CBS and I did games in the booth. I always got the skim milk game. It's like 1% of the country. 1% of the country is getting the game, right? It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, Buffalo Bills, and 1% of the television audience around the country is going to be watching the game. Nobody cares about this game. This is, even Vegas will probably take this game off the board. What are you going to do? Yeah. They open up as a 14.5 favorite. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. We used to refer to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the Thursday Night Football house band, and like they were just kind of there playing, and we were used to it. But listen, I mean what I say about the Bills' defense. At some point, they'll have that showcase. Brownie, did you say 7 different players have interceptions?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Because I remember last year we talked about how many different players on offense had touchdown catches.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I think it was more than 11. It was some crazy, outlandish number.
It's like 14.
It was 13 or 14, last year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which had all right. And I think prior to that, the record was the Matt Ryan Super Bowl Falcons team that Kyle Shanahan was running the offense, and they had a lot of different players catch passes. So this is the new goal now for Buffalo. There's 7 guys who have picks. I want a new guy this weekend. We got to entertain ourselves with something.
That's right.
And it's doable. It's certainly doable, especially if the game gets out of whack and you get some backups in there, because that's what happened in the Houston game.
I'm going to talk about this on Good Morning Football this week. I'm going to come up with you don't know the list, do you, Brownie? Who's the 7?
I got it right. I got it right here.
The Magnificent 7. Who do you got?
So it's Poyer and Hyde have 3 each, so they're atop the team lead. But Jaquan Johnson and Tyler Matakevich each had one in the Houston blowout game because they had the starters off the field. And then Levi Wallace had one down in Miami in week 2. Tremaine Edmonds had the pick here. I believe it was against Washington. And then Gregory Rousseau against the Chiefs.
All right. So what I'm hearing is we have 7 different interceptions, and Tre'Davious White is not one of them.
No.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
And also,
so
Taron
we got
Johnson.
all kinds of ways to grow.
Yeah, Taron Johnson, too.
Taron Johnson had one called back against Washington.
So what's the goal for the season? Is it 11 players because there's 11 on defense? I think this is actually really fascinating. Because this is the way we get this defense recognized. And I wonder what the record is for how many different players with interceptions in the league.
We'll
got to look into this. I'm on it.
We'll have to look that one up.
We'll get our crack staff
Last one from me, Kyle. I think this should be a stipulation to add to Angry Runs this week.
Okay.
If Josh Allen, somewhere in Sunday's game, trucks Josh Allen, it is an automatic Angry Run title.
I love it.
It's automatic. I need your commitment on this.
All right, this is great because sometimes we have these fun things that happen. Like I remember there was once a tight end named Jordan Cameron, and he went against Cameron Jordan. Like this is going to be great. So if Josh Allen of Buffalo trucks Josh Allen of Jacksonville, absolutely. And listen, Josh Allen was nominated today. He didn't win. The Bills fans are so mad about it.
Oh,
my
God.
They don't want to hear it. Oh,
yeah,
my
I know.
God.
They're bitter.
And here's
listen,
one other thing about this play, Kyle. The first guy that makes contact with him, he turns into a toboggan on the play. I mean, this guy isn't even mentioned. Look at this. Toboggan!
Yeah. Listen, I start speaking in tongues during that segment. I don't really remember where I am. And occasionally I will look back and be like, oh, that one's really good. But the Bills fans, if there's a shot of Josh Allen on the sideline during a game and he crumples up a cup of Gatorade, they're like, angry run, give him the scepter. That's it. No, easy, guys.
Exactly.
Not everything is an angry run. It has to be earned. There'll be more. And if he trucks Josh Allen, Brownie, not only will I do it, I'll shout out you guys, the show, everything. I'll make a whole thing about Josh Allen over Josh Allen. I promise.
All right, one thing, last one for me before we go.
Yeah.
Halfway through the NFL season, 17-game schedule. We got a lot of stuff going. The Chiefs fading, the Bills kind of staying strong. All this stuff's going on. The stuff with all the backup quarterbacks coming in and having their day. What grabs you most about this first half of the season? Anything like standing out, a theme or whatever? We got stuff going on about the officials here in Buffalo, how they're struggling. The Sky Judge has been surprisingly absent. I think welcome so, because they're changing plays and changing spots without anybody knowing it. They're getting stuff right.
Oh, that's a first down.
Exactly. But 17 schedule and the bye weeks. We're in the middle of a marathon here, and it happened really fast to me. This is week 8.
I know.
And halfway
9,
through
Steve.
this weekend.
Week
it's
9
week
now.
9. Oh. Yeah, we're halfway through.
It kind of feels like when your kids grow up. You're like, how are you 8 years old already? What, week 9 already? What is going on here? I listen, there's certainly lots of things you're talking about, Steve, that, the whole taunting thing was really big when the season started. And now we did backup quarterbacks this week and who stays healthy. For me, it's just there's some really, really good teams in the NFC. There's only 7 playoff spots available in the NFC when the season starts. 5 of them are already locked up. 5. It's done. You can look up the Packers, the Cowboys, the Rams, the Bucks, the Cardinals are going to the playoffs. The probability is overwhelming. There's only 2 more spots. Somebody outlandish is going to make the NFC playoffs. Now, it might be the Panthers. I don't know who the Saints quarterback is going to be, so I don't know where they go, even at 5-2. But as we're sitting here, we could see the Niners in the playoffs. We could see somebody crazy like Philadelphia. Someone has to take that 7th spot, and I don't know who it is yet. But my God, the NFC is so loaded and so top-heavy that I don't know who's making the playoffs at the end. But whereas the AFC, I mean, there's maybe 2 locks, but the Bills being 1, maybe Baltimore. I think there's 5 spots available in the AFC. Yeah. There's 2 in the NFC. It's already almost at capacity. So whoever comes out of there, to me, is infinitely more interesting than any kind of officiating or taunting or anything, because one of those teams is going to the Super Bowl.
With 9 weeks to go in the season, or virtually, the AFC has 11 teams within 2 spots of the 1 seed.
Woo!
11 teams are within 2 games of the number 1 seed. There's 11 teams that are 4-4 or better. And the top guy's only 6-2. I mean, that's not a big spread between 11 teams.
No.
Tight as a drum.
And there's some crazy ones, too. Like, the team that I'm feeling right now, and I felt them a couple weeks ago, is the team the Bills know very well, the Steelers. The Steelers haven't lost a game in like a month. And they're just one of these teams about, like, I want the Steelers out of the picture. I don't want them a factor because there's just too much going for them. Experience, talent, coaching, everything that, let's say they sneak into a wild card. I don't care how old Roethlisberger is. I don't want to play them. I'd rather some up-and-comer who's never been there before, like Cincinnati. But I like the way the Steelers are playing right now, too.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, we kept you long enough.
Thanks
Thanks
Kyle.
as always for the time. Well done on Angry Runs this week. We just love the frothing randomness that it is. It's as close to WWE as you're going to get on a football program, and we love the hell out of it. So thanks for that.
I come here for the frothing randomness, Brownie. You know that. You guys are the best. Thank you.
Have a good week. We'll
Thanks,
see you
bro.
next
Talk
week.
to you.